You have been asking yourself the same question for weeks, maybe months, maybe years. What did I do wrong? And the worst part isn't the question. The worst part is that nobody has given you an answer. Your child stopped talking to you, and the silence is shaped exactly like the words you wish they would say. I am Kathy Jo Hart, and this is the Heart to Heart channel, and I sit with parents whose adult children have cut contact. I am a woman of faith, and the questions you bring here are welcome, whether you share that faith or not. The not knowing you came in here with tonight is one of the hardest places a person can stand. We hold it together. If after this video you want communication scripts for the hardest messages, the first reach out, what to send on a birthday, and what to say when communication turns cruel, there is a free communication script packed at kathyjohart.com. The link is in the description below. But before any of that, let's talk about the not knowing. Now, I want to be honest with you about something most channels won't say. Sometimes there is no clean reason. Sometimes you will never get the email that explains it. And sometimes the closest thing to an answer you will ever receive is silence. And silence is not an answer your heart can survive on. So your brain does what brains do when there is no answer. It writes one for you over and over every night. Was it that fight in 2009? Was it the way I handled the wedding? Was it because I picked up his sister from the airport and not him? Was it because of what their spouse said at Thanksgiving? Or was it because of who I voted for? Round and round, a different theory every hour. And you can't sleep because the real answer might be in any one of them. The not knowing is its own grief, and almost no one names it for what it is. In the years I have been around this conversation, I have come to see three common patterns, and knowing which one you are in won't fix anything tonight, but it can quiet the spiral a little. The first pattern is the slow build. Years of small fractures, a missed wedding speech, a holiday that felt cold, a comment that landed wrong, a season where you weren't your best self. No single thing is big enough to explain it, but your child collected them the way a person fills a jar, one stone at a time. Then one day the jar was full, and they put it on the shelf and walked away. If this is your pattern, you are going to be tempted to try to fix every stone in the jar at once. Don't. The jar is not the problem anymore. Their distance from the jar is. The second pattern is the trigger event. One specific moment, a fight, a wedding, a death in the family, a divorce, a thing said in front of the wrong person. Before it, contact. After it, silence. If this is your pattern, you probably know exactly what the moment was. You just have not allowed yourself to say it out loud. The trigger pattern is paradoxically the most repairable. Not because the wound itself is small, it's almost never small, but because there is a specific door to knock on. The slow build pattern has no door. The third pattern is outside influence. A spouse, an ex-partner, a therapist who's only heard one side, a new church, or a new movement that frames family of origin as a danger. And if this is your pattern, you will feel it. The voice in your child's last message didn't sound like them. The phrasing felt borrowed. The hard truth about this pattern is that you can't argue with the influence. You can only stay reachable, stay non-defensive, and stay in your own integrity until, and sometimes years later, your child looks up and notices the gap between what they were told about you and who you actually are. Now, whichever pattern you are in, here's what I don't want you to do tonight. Don't write a long letter listing everything you can think of that might have gone wrong. I know the impulse. If you can just enumerate everything, surely they'll see one of them and reply. They won't. A long apology letter is to a child who has gone silent the sound of someone defending themselves. It pushes the door further closed. Don't text a sibling and ask them to relay a message. A sibling becomes the wound now too. Do not post on Facebook about how much you miss them. They are watching, and so is everyone else who knows them. Both pieces of that hurt. And please, don't make a list of grievances and demand a reason. A child who has gone silent has already decided they don't owe you a court date. The more you demand the verdict, the more they will refuse to issue one. What you can do this week is small, and it will feel like nothing, but it is the only thing that ever moves this forward. Sit somewhere quiet with a notebook and answer 3 questions in writing for yourself, not for them. The first question: in the last 5 years of our relationship, what is the moment I most wish I had handled differently? Just one, not a list. The one your gut answers before your defense lawyer does. The second question: if my child were to write me a letter tomorrow, not the letter I want, not the letter that's true, what would they say I missed? And this one is hard. Take your time. The third question: knowing what I know now, what would I want them to feel from me? Without conditions, without explanations, without expecting it back. And those 3 answers won't reopen the door. They will, however, prepare you for the day the door cracks open on its own, and someone needs to walk through it without flinching. And before you leave, I want to tell you a story that helped me sit with the not knowing. In Luke chapter 15, Jesus tells the story most of us have heard called the prodigal son. Most people remember it as a story about a son who comes back home. I want you to hear it tonight as a story about the father. The son leaves. The father does not chase him. The father does not send long letters. The father does not text the brother and ask him to relay messages. The father waits. And the line in the story I want you to keep is this: while he was yet a long way off, the father saw him. This means the father was watching the road every day, not pacing in anger, not rehearsing what he was going to say, watching the road and steadying himself for his return. That's the parent God is to you tonight. And here's the hardest thing. That is the parent He is calling you to be to your child, even now. Not chasing, not pleading, watching the road and steadying yourself for their return. Now, some of you are going to find that is the most peace you've felt in months. And some of you are going to need to hear it 10 times more, and both are fine. I want to tell you something that's been said about me and that I now believe, and that I think you need to hear tonight. You can have made mistakes, every parent has, and not be the villain of this story. You can have been an imperfect mother and not be a bad one. You can love a child, lose a child, and still not have failed them in the ways your mind tells you at 3 a.m. The fact that you are sitting here tonight asking what you did wrong is not the behavior of a parent who didn't care. It's the behavior of a parent who is still, even now, trying to love right. And that love isn't lost. It just doesn't have an address right now. So we are going to hold it together for a while. He will hold it with us until it does. If anything in this video gave you a quieter breath, do 2 things. Subscribe so the next time the question comes back at 2 a.m., you can find your way back here. And if you want the communication scripts for the hardest messages, including what to send when you don't know what to say, go to kathyjohart.com. It's free. Now, I will see you in the next video. But in the meantime, may the Lord keep you this week. And if you are awake again tonight, you know where to find me. Just remember, you are loved. Good night.